Now, Ed, what about you? What have you got going down there in a pub and in a theater? How do you keep that theater Catholic?
Yeah, it's very hard. So obviously Hollywood is evil, but I bought the theater building in 1998, so I wasn't quite a traditional Catholic yet. And after purchasing this building, I realized it came from my uncle. So I kind of was helping my family, and I'd lent them so much money I became owner. So I really wasn't trying to buy the building in the first place, but divine providence as well. But with the theater, I started out running the theater, renting out the pub. So Dan Egan owns a company called Catholic Timeline, and I had his timeline in my theater, which is 10 foot by 3 foot. And it's the whole timeline of the history of the Catholic Church. And in there, when people came to get entertained, per se, you have to walk by the timeline to get into the theater. So from that timeline, we were able to catechize and talk to folks before or after the film and explain all the Marian apparitions, all the enemies of the church, all the popes from Pope, Peter, all the way out to Pope Francis, which again, I don't have it updated with the new Pope, but we would have these kind of discussions and go over Protestantism and when did Protestantism happen, in 1517, et cetera, and was able to point out and catechize some folks and getting some interest with that. So I did that for many years with that timeline, but it wasn't until 2.5 years ago when I opened up the pub, and I didn't know why I opened a pub. A fire happened. I'm trying to sell the building, and next thing you know, I'm owning a pub as well. And from there, I started again putting icons into the pub. So obviously the pub has a Herrgottswinkel in it, and so those who are German understand what that means, but that's actually God's corner. So it's a crucifix with the Sacred Heart and Immaculate Heart on either side, and that is predominantly displayed in the pub, as well as a lot from Tridentine Brewing. I have all their tins. They sell Catholic beers. They're not in Ohio yet. I'm actually trying to help them get their license in Ohio so I can sell their beers. But their tins are all over my theater. It's got all the tins of Flaming Heart IPA to the Casteros Mexican lager. So those are all displayed as well. And as well as over the top of the bar, in the center of the bar, is a portrait of Christ the King. So a lot of people are sitting there at the bar, they're drinking, and they're staring at Christ the King, and they're bothered somewhat. And my piece of evangelization is never to start, right? So if they want to talk about the Reds, or the Cincinnati Bengals, or if they want to talk about some beer or something, I'll continue that conversation until they bring up the faith. They can either see the 3-foot statue of the St. Joseph or the icons of the tin or the Herrgottswinkel or Christ the King above the bar. And then they'll bring something up. And I look at that as my way of, having God say, now it's time to evangelize.